Hey everybody, my name is Ashley and I am the founder of Access Granite. I am also a educator in the Bay District Schools District in Florida. I am a certified literacy coach. I'm also certified in math 5 through 9, as well as elementary education K through 6 in all 4 subjects. So what I am coming to you today with is a basically some information about what the Eagles are going to be doing this week. I have a previous video with the Cub activities and the Jag activities if you want to reference that in the group. But this one is not just focusing on the activities for the week. I really want to focus on some resources that are available to you. So I'm going to share my screen. I was having a little bit of trouble with this with the Facebook Live, but I'm going to share my screen with you so that I can show you some things that you can look over to kind of figure out exactly what it is that your child is working on. Now, I will tell you this, like I said, I am based out of Florida, and I know that there's some people in this group who are not in Florida. Every state has their own standards because education is state regulated. So what that means is that whatever standards that I'm showing you, Florida, they've created their own standards. They may not be exactly the same in your state. However, the resources are the same. I have been looking into some other states, and all the states that I have looked into, they have posted similar resources to what I'm going to show you. So if you Google your states and the standards, you should see something similar to what I'm going to show you in just a moment. I'm going to start right here with this standards book. So this right here, they have one for math and they also have one for ELA. And this is the best standards. This is what teachers are supposed to be teaching. And this is also what students are expected to master by the time they finish their grade level. So every standard that you see, if it says kindergarten, whether it says fourth grade, fifth grade, whatever you see, that is the standard that they're expecting them to have by the time they leave. So if they come in and they don't quite know those things, it's okay because that's the things that they have to learn for that year. So if I go down to fourth grade, if I go down to fourth grade, you'll see that it has it kind of broken up based upon the skill. And it's not the same math that we grew up with. It's not just equation, answer, equation, answer. You have a page of 75 questions and that's your homework for the evening. This actually goes a lot more in depth and it requires them to do a little bit more. So whenever you're looking at these standards, sometimes it might seem a little bit overwhelming. But one thing that I do like about it is not only does it tell you exactly what the standard is, but it also gives you examples of what that standard is. And it does that in pretty much all of the math standards. That way you can kind of see exactly what it is that they want you, that they want your child, excuse me, to know how to do. One of the things that I have noticed, I have worked with a lot of kids that are in fifth grade, fourth grade, and older. When it comes to math, one of the things that kind of trips them up the most is not knowing their multiplication facts. And I know that with the new math, they're trying to have them break it down, and there's a lot of steps that goes with it. But having that basic understanding of your math facts absolutely helps them with some of these more complex uh, lessons. For instance, if they're comparing fractions and they're trying to find like the lowest common denominator, if they don't know, if they have a 4 and an 8 and they don't understand that 2 times 4 equals 8, that can be very difficult for them to kind of do those types of problems. So them having that basic understanding, it's not as difficult whenever they have smaller numbers, but when they start working with numbers that are a little bit bigger, that having that skill and being able to kind of reach into their pocket and be like, oh, I know what 8 times 7 is. I know what, 9 times 6 is. Knowing those timetables is definitely going to help them. But not only is it going to help them with their fractions, and it's also going to help them with their division. And division, if you don't know your multiplication, is very, very, very difficult for you to do your division. So if your child is struggling with their math facts, I would start there. I would start doing some of the flashcard games that we have and trying to really drill it into them so they can kind of do it with automaticity. You want them to know those multiplication facts. The other thing that I wanted to show you is the FAST practice test. So the FAST test is something that all children in Florida take once they get into third grade. So third grade, they have to pass the ELA test. If they don't, then it's mandatory retention. There are some good calls and ways that they can still be promoted, but for the most part, if they don't pass the FAST test, no matter what their grades are, and they don't pass like the summer school or whatever other alternative exam that they have, then they would have to repeat the third grade. They also have it in 10th grade as all the way up to 10th grade. So you take the FAST test every year from third grade to 10th grade. If you don't pass it in 10th grade, then you have other opportunities, but that is a graduation requirement for you to pass that FAST test. If you go to FL FAST, I believe that's the website, flfast.org. flfast.org. And then you go to Florida statewide assessments. They have information on here for students and families where you can go and get sample items. You can get testing information from for VPK as well as K through second. You can get additional resources. So there's a lot of different resources that are available to you, fact sheets. And I'm not going to go through all of them because it's a lot of information, but essentially what it just basically answers a lot of your questions and provides you with some resources on what is the FAST, what kind of questions are going to be on the FAST, and how can you support your child in order to pass these FAST tests. Now, the school year is already ended, so this, of course, would be something for the upcoming school year. But I would recommend for you to kind of look at this stuff and be familiar with it because they do take this test 3 times a year. And the first PM1 is not, if they don't do well on PM1, it's okay because it's testing them on standards that they haven't learned yet. The big test is going to be PM3, which is the one that they take at the end of the year. And that's when they want them to be at a level 3 or higher. The FAST test for the math is on here as well. And it shows you the types of questions that they might see on the FAST. Now, it's not all inclusive, but it is kind of giving you a brief overview so that they can be familiar with the format. They'll get a reference sheet to help them out with some of those equations, but essentially they'll have to know how to apply all of these things. Oh, one more thing that I want to show. If you're in Bay District schools right now, because it's the summertime, they don't have access to all of their schoolwork. But during the school year, if you go on to your child's Launchpad, this is what their Launchpad looks like for the most part. It might vary just a little bit depending on what school that they are in, and also if they decide that they want to move things around. But generally speaking, this is what a student's Launchpad looks like. And they have access to everything. If their teacher does things on Canvas, you have access to that. They can access their grades at any time. But this one right here is super important. This one and this one. If they are in elementary school, they do iReady. There might be, if they're in a charter school, they may or may not use iReady. However, public schools, they all have access to iReady. And iReady is a really good tool because it helps them on their instructional level. So even if they're behind, then it helps kind of bring them up just a little bit by giving them that extra practice. If they are ahead, it kind of pushes them. So iReady is a good tool. The rule of thumb is 15 minutes a day in math and 15 minutes a day in reading is really good for that extra practice. But if you want to do it at home, it doesn't hurt them to do an extra 15-20 minutes. Also in instructional software, you'll have access to the math book, you'll have access to their ELA. This is their ELA curriculum. And you have access to things like Study Island. BrainPop is really, really, really good. For elementary, BrainPop Junior is the one that's used, not BrainPop, but BrainPop Junior has some really good information. It has lots of science, social studies, math, and reading things on there. So it's a really, really good tool. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for your time. I know that I went over a lot of information. If you have any questions about anything that I showed you today, feel free to reach out to me and ask away. I'll be more than happy to help you kind of navigate through these resources that are available to you. You can inbox me or you can comment on the video and I will answer as soon as I possibly can. All right, so make sure that you also, if you are participating in this, I would love, love, love to see of how y'all are doing. You can know you take pictures, you can just write about it, write about your experiences, what you like, what you didn't like, what you would like to see more of, so that I can kind of tailor it to whatever your children need. Next week, we're going to be diving into ELA, and it is a lot of information that I'm going to provide to you, but it's going to be a lot of fun games that I'm also going to provide to you. So I can't wait to see y'all a little bit later. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.